we are live back on all your streaming platforms, and I am just setting up the audio output for Teams here, so you guys should be able to talk and we should be able to hear you now. Give it a go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. Making pinball, making friends.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since some of us have been together. I know last Monday Moog was up at my house and we're kind of working on chopping through some white wood and putting some ball guides in place. So that's going pretty good. I made some progress on that over the weekend, repinning the header for the lower third, as well as adjusting a few ball guides and post placement just to get some of the shots dialed in a little bit more. So I'll have to post a picture of that in the Discord for people to see. But yeah, Whitewood's coming along. If you are in chat, go ahead and let us know if there are any noticeable audio issues or video issues. We are concurrent on YouTube and Twitch, so any feedback is good feedback, but thanks for joining us. I know a lot of people have their college football national championship game they're watching right now, so maybe you're watching on both devices. You know, family's got championship up on the TV and you're over here hiding on your phone trying to see, oh guy, what the PinForge guy's up to. What it should be is get your family into PinForge and then have them watch national championship on their cell phone. Just saying. But everyone has their own priorities. Anywho, so today, the plan for today is to discuss our choice for artist for this game. We had quite a few submissions through the month of, I believe we started that like mid-November and then most of December. Submissions were due on January 1st. We had several great submissions. We got together as a team, reviewed them all, discussed the qualities of each of them, and then ultimately settled on one submission that we thought fit the vision that we have for this game the best. And so that is where we have on the call Eric Lee. Mr. Eric Lee, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. This is exciting.
And I see Alex joined. Hey Alex, welcome.
Hey, excited to be here. Nice to meet you, Eric.
Yeah, good to meet you, Alex.
Yep. So we've been in talks with Eric now for probably the first 2 weeks of January, I think. And just on the first call that we had with Eric to reach out and see how much interest he had in this project was really great. Seems like an awesome dude who fits the personality of this team really well. And I think you're going to be a great fit on this project with us. So thanks for agreeing.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, really excited about this.
Cool beans. So I guess, Eric, this is kind of going to be an About You stream. So this is your chance for you to kind of get familiarized with our community. And with that, just got a few questions we can kind of walk through here. First one being, what is your background? Moog already has a question. Go ahead, Moog.
He's got a question.
Sorry, should we show the submission that Eric submitted to us, or save that for later?
We'll show content in a little bit here. We
Okay,
got some stuff.
I'll back up. Eric, it's all you.
All right.
Barrels of content.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as an artist.
Yeah, so I'm an animator in the Midwest. I work for a studio. We do everything from 2D, 3D animation. So by day, my world is everything from illustration to 3D animation. And so I work for a studio called Creative Filter and Reveal XR. We do XR wall stuff. Have you ever seen The Mandalorian, like what's on the LED walls of Mandalorian? Also do, again, animated stuff for agencies. So that's like my day job. And then on the side, I tell people I always feel like I have all these like nerdy superpowers. And so like I do a lot of toy making. So I do a lot of like indie toy stuff, both for clients as well as just I have my own like toy line that I release. They're Keshi. They're these little rubber guys If you're familiar with muscle from the 80s and 90s, they're like those. So I make a lot of those. Specifically, I have a line of like famous Oklahoma guys. They're all Keshi, and so do that. Do a lot of 3D printing, and I do a lot of like hobby electronics. And so last year, basically, I got the pinball bug because I stumbled down the rabbit hole of Steve with Pinball Room, just like most people do, and realized with pinball is kind of this amazing epicenter of a lot of the things I'm passionate about and excited about. So we're the animation, design, illustration, and electronics. So so that's a little bit about me, just kind of a little bit of touches there. You can find me on Instagram at Eric3D, and you kind of find a lot of what I do that way.
Awesome. If you want, feel free to link your socials in the chat here, and then
okay.
Throughout the night. No rush, but we'll also kind of promote that on Facebook and the other socials as well for people to get to know you and see some of your work. But yeah, you mentioned that you caught the pinball bug, like all of us here have. So I think that was another thing that stood out that made you just such a tremendous fit to be part of this team, is you have that background and you understand what goes into homebrew pinball, and you're on the journey of creating your own. Do you, I guess, is your theme like out there? People know what your theme is, or are you keeping that tight to your chest?
No, it's out there. In fact, so the way I got started is I designed it in VPX. Again, I have such a background in like Blender and doing all that stuff, so it was a really natural jumping on point. So I built a machine on VPX with the help of Apophis from VPW Pin Workshop, and released that at the end of last year. It's called Tornado Rally, and so if you go on to wherever, I forget what the main place, I think it's VP Forums or something that has all the VPX stuff, you can find Tornado Rally. So I released that digitally last year, and then I do some VR stuff, so I got to play it in VR and stuff like that before I started diving into actually building the thing practically. So so you can actually find it and play it digitally, and now I'm going through the troubles of making it a reality.
Awesome.
Good luck.
That's similar to how I started too. I started in VPX for my game and translated that over to AutoCAD, and then went through several iterations there. So it's definitely a great tool to use when you're trying to like brainstorm flow and shots, and we did that with Bootleggers here to start out as well. And then it's such like a cool tool because you can then take like your layout from VPX, export it as a PNG, and then get that printed at like Staples on blueprint paper or
and that's exactly what I did.
Yep. And that's what we did for our whitewooding session, is like got that printed at Staples, taped it down to the board, and then started drilling holes. It's great for getting like the rough layout and geometry, and it tends to match up pretty well too. I've kind of shot myself in the foot a little early, made a newbie mistake in that I got a donor cab that's an old EM machine, and didn't really think anything about it, but it occurred to me later that the EM machines they don't have the ramps or whatever, and so I then had to go through the trouble of lowering the playfield to make it fit, and the dimensions are all specific, and so fortunately I'm pretty much done with my playfield, fingers crossed. I got a couple of little things to tie up, and then my next challenge is going to be the back box, because I want to have score reels, and I've got score reels from the old EM machine sitting around. So that's the next step I tackle before the machine is done. Yeah, that's like one of the bigger struggles, is there's so much variance between like the different manufacturers, different types of cabinets, different playfields, different mounting hardware. Like that, to me, is challenging to get right, especially the first go around. And if you go and do something custom, it's even more difficult too. So it depends on how much complexity you want to add into the equation.
And then score reels are a whole nother animal. You might want to look at slot machine reels, because those are stepper controlled.
Oh yeah.
There's modern options.
Okay, well, see, I need to know these things. Is it just silly to just hang on to the old EM reels then?
I mean,
Because I noticed like the EM
yes
reels,
and
it's
no.
got like a switch for every number on the thing. So you're talking like 10 switches per reel. Is that right?
No, not quite. You technically, know your position for 0 and you know your position for 9.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So, between those, it doesn't really matter. And not every reel is going to have all those switches either. Some are just dummy reels. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
The only thing you're going to have is your carryover switch. But feel free, outside of here, we can talk this through.
All right.
I've got some info for you.
All right, that's coming up on my schedule, so I'll absolutely be picking your brain.
With the score reel stuff too, what's interesting is I remember when Brian and Gabe were doing their big shot conversion of like the old game, but they had a mode where it played the original mode and then like you could hit a switch and it played the modern mode, and it was all powered by MPF. And the hardest part about the whole game was the score reels, because conceptually, EM games, there is no concept of what is the score. Right. It just pulses each thing until the numbers represent a score. There is no like look up score and present score on screen. So that was the layer that was like, it wasn't just what is the score, that's the easy part, but how do you turn these reels into what the score is? And they spent the most work on that project just trying to make the score reels represent actual scores generated by the Machine Pinball Framework. So,
well, I gotta say,
because everything's carryover.
Yeah,
so,
pulse.
Yep, it's all logic, but there's no return on that logic.
Well, okay, so like I said, Steve at the Pinball Room got me like sold in the idea of doing it. Before I discovered him, it was I'm sure you guys have all seen the Technology Connections video where he goes through the Aztec pinball machine just like and covers every single. That's ultimately what really got me sold. And so so I've seen the complexity. I know it's there. I'm just hoping it's not too much.
It's
There's
funny
options
too.
for you.
You bring up Steve from Pinball Room and Technology Connections, and it's surprising, like everyone kind of gets engagement like in different ways. They find their way into this hobby in different ways, and I think I was kind of similar where like I was watching Steve's journey and his documentation from start to finish, and then watching like Dead Flip and what he was doing for his game before he got hired with Stern. And like it's just those like little amounts of like inspiration that you get from those streams for me that helped kind of kickstart that fire. Like I'm a visual learner, so I kind of need that, and there's other people on this call that are probably just like, oh, I can read text and figure it out. Like that's kind of like one of the main goals on what we're trying to do with this is if we can give like really good documentation, really good videos for people to follow along and build their own, that's the goal ultimately. So what drew you towards PinForge and what our mission is with open source pinball?
I mean, so you're kind of already getting there. I was already part of the Fast Slack channel, and so I discovered it that way. But as I mentioned before, I'm a big Blender guy, so I love open source. I love the idea of open source, and I love the idea of being able to learn by watching the community attempt things. And as you mentioned, like Steve at the Pinball Room, you go to his YouTube channel and you think, oh, he probably has a roadmap to do this, but you get into it and you realize, no, he just has little touchstones here. And so it was really cool to hear that you guys were aiming to basically build this encyclopedia of how to build something start to finish, and really encouraging seeing Aaron was involved as well. And so I would say those are the big exciting factors. And then when I heard you guys were saying like, none of us draw, I was like, hey, that's great, because I don't really do a lot of what you guys do. I just touch on it. But so that was exciting too. As I mentioned, I do a lot of toy stuff, and so when I first got into toys, that was kind of a goal of mine, is to kind of make it a little bit of a name for myself, to where people knew who I was in the toy industry. And so I've kind of had a little bit of that in the back of my mind for pinball, and part of that was just going to be doing my own machine, but saw this as a great opportunity to kind of get my name out there for doing this kind of stuff too.
I love how you got into this from the art angle, and now I'm over here going, wait, you make toys and figures and all these other things too. It's like, what else can we make with this stuff? This is incredible.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the coolest things I always love, like meeting people through the pinball stuff, because there's the one thing, like you said, that kind of attract you to pinball. The idea of I want to make something. And what's always fun too is people start going, here's what I'm good at that I want to apply to pinball. But then as we all get to know each other, we're all into all sorts of random stuff all over the place.
Yeah,
and everybody has like this one tangent point that is like homebrew pinball. And then you find out all the other things that they're into and stuff like that. So I think that's the part that's really fun about this community is like, we're all learning about everybody and what other cool things we can, use and apply to a good game experience, and it's what lets everybody take their skills and apply it to a fun social thing too. So that's one of the things I love about this like PinForge effort overall is like to show that like, it really is a bunch of us just all kind of collaborating and making something better than any of us can do on our own, So that's really fun to see.
Right.
Dude, you're so cool, man.
you as well, Aaron. You as well.
Oh yeah, that was kind of one of the things going into this too. Is I wanted to make sure that we had like a reputable team behind this that I feel like people could believe in. That's why I reached out to all these different individuals on the team with this idea, because I knew they would be the ones who would be at the forefront of making it happen. B, everyone knows their background, what they contribute to the homebrew space, and C, they're just really cool, awesome people. Like, you gotta be awesome, and I feel like you fit that bill for us pretty well.
Thank you very much. You guys as well. You guys are all awesome. It is a really cool.
We all
team.
just put our arms out like this and hug through the screens.
Let's just all gather around the boozy slushy machine again. It'll be good.
Okay, hold on. So Kyle was just talking about like the desire to get all of us together to work on these things. What I even saw from the other side of this, that like Kyle thinks super big. Like you see Liz with his Harry Potter game, it's like, this was the first homebrew I saw that was so massive that I felt compelled to go visit. Like, just like, don't derail this project. Like, this is incredible. So the idea of like big visions and big like desires to make amazing things, like that's the kind of stuff I'm really attracted to, because you can chop anything up small enough and get enough of the right people in place to do something that's seemingly impossible. And I think that like so when Kyle was talking about this project and I met with everybody else about it, I was like, dude, this sounds rad. Like, this is the kind of thing that like, so much of what I do in pinball is not just building pinball. It's like building stuff to build stuff to make pinball. So projects like this are so exciting for me. And it is how like I've met all these people. So Eric, how we're getting to know each other even more. Like, I want people to see that like a project that seems so overwhelming is just a lot of little steps to get there and a whole bunch of new things to learn and new tools to buy along the way. That seems fine.
A lot of new tools to buy along the way.
A whole lot.
Yeah. But you're totally right, Aaron. It's the documentation of all those micro steps and showing people the sequence and the recipe to be able to cook their own pinball chili that we're putting together. It's a pinball chili, guys.
I think of pinball chili.
Okay, so let's kind of shift the conversation a little bit and let's talk about your submission, Eric, and then also when it came to submission, what were your thoughts? And let's see, how can I share this? That's only sharing that way. View. Can I view my own content? No.
Can you pin it?
Full screen, including show gallery. I could turn off incoming video, or I can just share it another way with another view in OBS. Let me do that, because I need to be able to capture it as we're going here. Let me switch the scene.
Let's try like pinball chili, because then there's just balls in the soup.
All right, so what I have shown on stream here is Eric's submission for his take on our character Cooter McGee from the Bootleggers story. So Eric, what's kind of your vision, and what was some of your what was some of your inspiration when you were tackling Cooter here?
Yeah, so first of all, I think it's a really cool theme, and like the era, I mean, there's so much like you could play around with there. The first thing that really jumped to my mind was, if you guys are familiar with The Goon by Eric Powell, this comic that takes place in basically the Prohibition era. Blair, the animation studio, had done a teaser at one point, a little short film of the Goon, and so like really that's where my head went. And the Goon is also kind of right in the vein of like type of stuff I like to draw and stuff. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing that jumped out, and wanting to kind of at least strive for that, strive for the greatness of Eric Powell. So I say that's the biggest thing. When I was thinking through the character, I had mentioned before that it was before you guys did the stream where you were talking about all the different actors and that. And I'm glad I did it before then, because that honestly would have really influenced kind of the way I thought about the character. Just watching Stranger Things at the time, so David Harbour is immediately the guy that jumped into my mind. He's kind of, oafish is probably the best word I can think of. He's got that oaf build where he looks like he could beat you up, but he could down a couple pints really easy, really quick. So so that's kind of the main thought process when I was going into this particular design. I think some other jumping off points, I also think David Harbour fits Bluto from Popeye, or I forget the guy's name from Steamboat Willie, the bad guy from Steamboat Willie. Forget his name, Pete, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I think he's got a lot of that as well when I was thinking through the character. And then maybe the other thing that comes to my mind is really just outfits and stuff is the Peaky Blinders, which I realize is probably it's European, but still a similar era and stuff. So that is probably what was going through my head.
I think you nailed it too. And one of the things that I loved looking at this is like I feel like you captured the character of this brutish, like just I don't even know, like menacing henchman muscle for the mafia, and I think you captured that really well. And the fact that he's holding a freaking whiskey barrel in his other arm,
that's right.
I mean, come on.
I guess nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing. I don't know how much those things weigh.
Yeah, so on you guys' stream, you kept talking about Steve Buscemi for the character, and that was after I'd drawn this. I was like, man, Steve Buscemi isn't a. I haven't seen Boardwalk Empire, so in my mind, he's not an intimidating, oafish type guy, right? If anything, he's a really squirrely sort of a guy. So I was like, man, maybe I really missed the mark on this.
Well, and I go back to like kind of the point of that stream wasn't necessarily to capture the likeness of a particular actor. It was more so to talk about the behaviors of those actors. So it could be Steve Buscemi, but muscled up Steve Buscemi. That's kind of where my thought goes. And like I wouldn't say like let the conversation we had on actors kind of influence the visual styling of the character so that it looks like them, but more so kind of capture those characters from those movies and their behaviors and mentalities. Like we were just kind of theorizing the story through that stream, more or less. Yeah. But I kind of want your vision to lead the way on where your mind takes you with Bootleggers, instead of letting outside influence really take over there.
Sure. And so like, even though this is technically not a color submission or whatever, I think it still fits kind of the color schema of what's in my head. And again, if you look at the Goon stuff, it's all very sepia tone, very dusty, dirty looking, and so I think that's a really cool look. I love the Cuphead homebrew pinball and the way it has a lot of that. I'm a Cuphead in general is that way. And then you just have these really strong pops of color, and that could potentially just be coming from the lights on the playfield, So I think there's some really cool potential there, just with the era of the theme.
And then that's a fair point too, is you can use lighting on the playfield to inject the color, but you can let the artwork be the artwork, and maybe the lights kind of influence the mood of whatever mode you're in, or the intensity of a multi-ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, we liked this submission. Like I just think it's incredibly awesome. Love it.
Yeah, as we were looking through the submissions, this is the one that came up that was pretty much unanimous. Everybody said we had to talk to you. Like it was, there was no question about it.
Well, good. That was the goal, so I'm thankful that it hit the mark. I think I told Kyle this. I was a little nervous because on our Slack is on the fast Slack is Marco Bucci, who's a really extremely talented artist. And I was like, man, I know Marco's going to submit something, and I'm not going to have a chance. So anyway, so yeah, I was really glad to hear.
Heck yeah. Yep. No, we're glad to have you on board. So when I guess let's kind of brainstorm, or let's talk a little bit here about what your vision is for the Bootleggers theme. You mentioned the Goon. Are there any other kind of like artistic influences that you have in mind on the styling and things? Anything you'd like to show? I think we can make
I mean, well, so like I started putting together that Miro board. I don't know if there's a way to show that. If I share my screen, does that come through, or
Kyle
what's the
can
best
share
way
it.
to do that?
Yep, I can pull it up. Give me 1 second.
So the whole Miro thing's a little new to me, but it's very similar. We would do Fig Jam at work. Anytime we have a new project, I do a lot of IP development and stuff. And so it's just kind of a way for people to just like scrapbook stuff. And so I started that, and that has a big section of like visual development that I think really are in the pocket of where my head's at. I also like to play to stuff like Dick Tracy, and because we're thinking mobster around this era and stuff. I'm a big fan of Dick Tracy, and I love just kind of the cartoon exaggerations that he has. Also, a big fan of everybody's a big fan of Mike Mignola. Mike Mignola is very noir, and I think noir is again just right in the pocket of Goon, as well as this sort of era stuff. So I've got some, yeah. So if you go there on the left and you just kind of zoom in there, yeah, you'll see. And I don't know if I guess it's not showing up full screen on the. Okay, there you go. Yeah, this is me kind of pulling just quick Google image search of things that come to mind. Also, another obvious hit, and I've got a little illustration in there that I found online is "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which obviously is live action, but there's a great illustration there of the three from "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" that I think is also right on the money. Also, you can see it's very brown, very orange, and very sepia tone stuff. And so I think that's mostly it. Again, there's a lot of Goon in there, so if you guys aren't familiar with Goon, by all means go check it out. But you can see just how he has just some really impactful caricature in there, and it's not unlike Mike Mignola. I mean, Goon almost looks like Hellboy in a lot of ways, but
Heck yeah, I think that's an awesome like kind of approach and mindset for this. I like the color palettes and what you're going for here. I see even threw a little Big Lebowski down at the bottom there.
Yeah.
I really like
So
how
that was my nod to Brian Allen, because Brian Allen's kind of a legend in at least modern pinball art, and so I felt like he's worth a mention in there too.
I really like how a lot of the style here, we talk about the color tones and that, but the style really harkens to more of that golden age and early
Yes.
like PCH type feel,
Yep.
that pre-code horror type, just the heavy lines and the burly characters. It's really kind of awesome to see some of that and really think about how not only the color but the era matter.
Yes.
And especially as we approach Prohibition, each of these things are from a slightly different era, but they all kind of have that same feel. So
Yeah,
it's
and
really cool to
I would
see.
say my leanings in pinball art in general are more towards that golden age, golden era type stuff. And again, Dick Tracy is right on the money in terms of that type of stuff. I threw in there's a series. There are some artists named the Etherington Brothers, and there's an image of him of some of their art in there, and they're also very much exactly that, very golden age type stuff.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I really like this styling with like the thick lines and the shading on the characters. I think this is really gonna fit the Bootleggers theme. I'm excited to see what you come up with for it.
Sweet. I'm really excited because this type of stuff is what I get excited about. So often I'm told draw this and draw it my way. Yeah, so it's kind of nice to have a little bit of flex.
Yeah.
We want to give you as much artistic freedom as possible.
Exactly.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Anything else in the Miro board you want to look at here?
So you can see where you pan over to there is when I started thinking towards the logo. And so I don't know if you want to start talking about that. And then also on the right is a lot of historical stuff. There's a great website out there called Shorpy. If you guys aren't familiar with, has just a huge archive of historical photos. So I went through Shorpy stuff and looked for Prohibition era sort of material. So
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the truck that Moog loves.
Yeah. So we had a conversation about what does this car look like exactly?
Yeah, and this is really good to see, like, you know, how different people in the society dressed in that day and age. Like, you got your mafia guys over here with, they all got the cool looking hats and everything, and of course they gotta have the Tommy gun.
Yeah.
But then your bootleggers, they're not gonna be as sharply dressed, but I just love seeing like this kind of history. It's so cool.
Yeah, there's an image there of a flapper girl, and she's got like all this alcohol in her trench coat.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
I didn't either.
You've got the polar opposites in that era too, where, you know, lips that touch alcohol will not touch these. The whole counter side of it. So
yeah.
That's gonna be us at Expo.
You're all gonna dress like flapper girls. Yeah, there you go.
That's the plan.
I just want to see Aaron walking around like that. I think that would be.
Why me?
Like, because like I want to come to you and ask,
7.
can I get, you know, a fifth of something from your waistline? Like, I think that'd be fun.
Honey, it's just the pinball guys talking. Don't worry about it. Guys, she's not gonna let me go to these shows anymore.
I like the Sucker Punch reference there. That was a fun movie.
Yeah. Sucker Punch, great on style. Also very sepia tone, which just about everything Zack Snyder does is. But you know, I love the. I guess I should mention, I also have a little bit of a background. I developed an IP you can find on YouTube called Steam Puff, which was a steampunk series for kids, and it was very much in this vein. And Sucker Punch was also, we referenced, you know, for some of the typography stuff we did there.
I just Googled that. I'm gonna add that to watch later.
Big night.
Yeah.
Regarding logo and the logo concepts, do you have anything further than what you've shared with us so far, or do you want me to share what?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share. I don't plan on taking it past. Well, I guess I should back up and say, when we were talking about timeline and development of the art, you know, we can definitely go down the route of me like doing character studies, just like what we did with Cooter, and really kind of diving in there. But because, you know, we're not this huge, you know, Hollywood team that's developing an IP, I think usually the best way to go about it is like, we'll take the back glass. The back glass is going to feature all the characters. It's going to feature the logo. And so I think by working towards the back glass with the logo as well, it's a great way to dial things in without having to go through and do a whole lot of exploration. We can kind of really be pinpoint in the way we do our exploration. And so where I've taken the logo, or what I've given of the logo, it's not final art, but it's close to it. It's sketched there. You know, you're just missing the nice clean lines and ink effects and stuff like that. And so
Gotcha.
That's where I took the logo. The idea is I would go to final art once we get the rest of the back glass dialed in, because even these elements may shift and move just to support what we end up with the back glass. So
Awesome.
yeah. So
I was gonna say real quick, like I love process, and I love everything you're saying. Just exudes like professional process, and knowing the timelines that we're on, like that is really great to hear. I mean, I didn't doubt that, but I think that like that was one of the things from the creative side of this project that I was most stressing out an artist about, was how aggressive that timeline was, knowing how much pinball needs, and what the expectations of what the pinball, community wants to see and what makes pinball art,
Yeah.
So I mean, everything that you're describing right now, like I feel so stoked about. Every time you talk, you get cooler and cooler, man. Like this is good stuff.
Right back at you.
You're on the incline. I'm on the other end of that bell curve. Every time I talk, I just get less cool.
Well, you
at
just
some
turned
point
Aaron
you
into your
It's a net
rapper.
sum game. Yeah, I got to take some from Kyle to give you some. Like.
Stop stealing all my coolness, Eric. Jeez.
Dude, I have infinite good vibes to give out. Eventually, I'll just vaporize. But anyways, take more.
Yeah. So, what I'm showing on screen now here, this is the conceptual sketch of Bootleggers, and when you first popped this in chat, we were just like, man, that's so freaking cool. I love the incorporation of the whiskey barrels for the O's and the grains as kind of like the header and underliner or whatever you want to call that. There's probably a technical term there.
Flourishes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Again, back to that mirror board is like looking at some old whiskey labels, as well as just most advertising labels back then had the floral flourishes in there, as well as kind of a script. And then originally when I was doing this, I was going for more of calligraphy, and then I looked back at the Goon. I was like, well, they got blocky letters, so we then blocked it out and kind of went that direction. And then I thought, the flourishes were a great option, a great way to incorporate the concept of grains into this, because that's such a tricky concept to get across. So yeah. And then someone said, hey, make the O's barrels. That was a great idea. I don't know why I hadn't already thought of that. So we did that.
Hey, we're a team, and we pump out better stuff as a unit instead of as singular individuals. So,
right, that's
I mean,
right.
don't get me wrong, you're doing all the artwork, but we'll pop ideas in here and there.
And some of them are terrible ideas, but we've already proven a few of those out.
Yep. Yeah, it's just an awesome idea here for the logo. And one thing that eventually we'll share on our channel is with the tool that you use, you're able to export kind of like a quickened up version of your process. And so eventually we're gonna edit those videos down and then throw a little commentary on it, just so others can see your process and hear your thoughts on your process. So
cool. Yeah. And just to let people know, like I use Procreate on the iPad for most of my illustration work. If not, I'm illustrating on desktop. I use Krita or Photoshop. Again, I love open source, so I stick with Krita when I can. But Procreate is extremely powerful. Really top-notch illustrators use it to do really top-notch work, and so it's just a $20 app. And so I think a lot of people don't realize that it is a pro-level app. And so so that's what I use. And Procreate automatically it saves playback. Unless you turn it off, it automatically saves playback of illustration, so it's easy to churn those out.
That's awesome. So is that kind of like similar, and forgive me for stupidity here, is that like similar as to like Adobe Illustrator and how that functions?
It is. Okay. It is more similar to probably Photoshop. It's raster. It's not vector, which is what Illustrator is. However, when I get onto Backglass, I will probably be using Fresco, which is more like Illustrator. Fresco technically works in both vector and raster, although I will say it has a hard time exporting vectors. You can export, you have the benefit of vectors being able to export at infinite resolution. But if I try to actually export a vector, I actually have to export to the Illustrator app and then out from it. Anyways, tangent there. But I will use Fresco when it comes to probably final art and a lot of this.
Gotcha.
Just so we can do vectors on that.
Okay, cool. When I was working on my Harry Potter game, I did all the artwork for that myself, and a lot of that is some clips and photos from online that I stitch together and blend together, which may or not be the right way to do it, but it worked for me, and I used software called Affinity Designer.
Yes.
I wanted to get away from the whole subscription service Adobe mess where they charge an arm and a leg every month.
Which Affinity is all free now too. So I've got a copy. I just haven't made the switch. I will say I do use Affinity on the iPad though.
Okay. Cool.
Occasion.
Yeah.
But yeah, Affinity's great.
It's a useful app, and I love the idea of softwares that are maybe they were created open source and now they're like, you know, you buy it once and you're done, you own it. I love that that's kind of coming back to market as opposed to all these subscription services owned by the major corporations. Like, make it more accessible again. So how are you going to get people into your industry using your tools if it's inaccessible unless you're like a student? What about people that are like late life, you know, want to change career, or people that don't have money to go to school, but they have, you know, a little bit of artistic juices in their body, right?
Or a pirate ship.
Hold on, I get a question. So, like, I think all of us are of nearly a certain age where, like, remember when we were always trying to find friends that worked at Adobe or at Microsoft to get, like, the family discount stuff? Like, I mean, being in the Northwest, it's like Microsoft is, like, on one side of me and Adobe's on the other, you know? And I remember, like, with my first business, how grown up we felt when we actually owned our own full license of, like, Microsoft Office and Adobe, whatever the suite was at the time.
Oh yeah.
And back in the day, I still have the.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's what subscriptions did away with. Is it made it at least a little more accessible. So.
True.
Yeah. Catch 22.
It's true. Yeah, made it accessible in one standpoint, but like, I don't even know what Adobe's rates are these days for Creative Cloud, but
they're all over the place. Depends which parts you need.
Yeah.
I believe you can get Photoshop, I think, for like just 5 or 10 a month.
Yeah.
If it's just Photoshop.
Gotcha. Yeah, and in the Midwest
Yeah,
we didn't have.
I pay $20 a month for Photoshop, Illustrator. It's basically the whole cloud.
But
Gotcha.
Affinity may change all that. I mean, the fact that Affinity came out and made it free, I think that was a pretty big statement.
True.
Yep.
Heck yeah. Yeah, and I think it's what, like $100 one-time fee for Affinity or somewhere around there. I mean, go look it up, Google it if you're curious. But
No, it's free now. Affinity is free,
free?
of like. Yeah. They made the announcement at during the last day, I believe, of Adobe's big conference they did last fall. Yeah.
Well, shoot. Glad I bought
After they got
lifetime
all the
access.
They waited until they had all the free meals and free drinks from the big event, and then they're like, by the way, we're screwing your whole model later.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, if Adobe responds. But I mean, Affinity is really good. It's got most of what you would need in a Photoshop or an Illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for hobbyists and stuff. So
Yeah,
When the big guys get too big, the little guys topple them.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a matter of time.
I think for like video editing software too, like DaVinci Resolve is another one that's completely free to use as opposed to using After Effects. So, and like DaVinci Resolve, I think is kind of an industry standard too, which is crazy.
Well, and again, I'm a big Blender nut, absolute big Blender fan, but I didn't used to be, because it used to be that Blender was so far behind the curve. But because of them being open source and community based, they, I believe, have surpassed Maya and 3D Studio Max in a lot of ways. And so now those companies are playing catch up while Blender's continuing to innovate at a much greater rate.
Gotcha. Crazy. Was there anything else you wanted to show and share?
So I mentioned to you yesterday that I can show. I had some time this past weekend to knock out 2 sketch layouts for the back glass that I'm pretty happy with. And so I don't know how the best way to share that. If I could post it in Discord, you could share it, or how do you want to do that?
Are they just like images? Like a ping,
yeah, they're just images, and I can kind of walk you guys through kind of where my head's at on each one.
Yeah, either works. If you want to, you can either share in Teams or you can send it in Discord and I can bring it up on the screen. Either works.
I'll share it in our Discord here.
Okay.
There you go. And so we can start with one. And
Damn.
I was like, I could post this before the stream, or maybe I should just share it on stream. It's going to be better, I think, to talk through it anyways.
Absolutely. You want to look at rough one first?
Yep.
I think it's cool that you kind of get our live reactions to it.
Right. That's right. We want to see how the sausage is made here.
I
So-
love the busy chaos so much.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
Again,
It's so
kudos to
crazy.
Brian Allen. He kind of does that all the time with his stuff. So I can kind of explain. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to just kind of sit and look at. You know, there's a lot of potential story, and in this back glass in particular, I tried to fit all of that story as much as I could in here, at least the characters and who they are and stuff. So obviously, front and center, we've got the main character, and I'm going to get all the names wrong unless
me
I look
too.
at the mirror board. Is it McCreary, right? Anyways.
Yeah, we'll just call it
Yeah,
character
so he's
one.
there. Yeah, so he's there with bags of grain, flour, whatever it is, and strapped like a bandolier. He's got some moonshine jugs,
Reed Walker.
and he's got another sack on his back as well. And so kicking his boot in the air, so a little nod to a boot there. So he's just kind of in a hero pose. I originally had him wearing a hat and stuff like that, but then again, I kept thinking of George Clooney and Oh Brother Where Art Thou, so I kind of went that direction with his face. So I think that personality is potentially a great descriptor.
Oh my
on
goodness,
the left
Pappy in the
following
lower
him-
right.
Yeah. So we got Pappy in the lower right that is collecting from a still, and you can kind of follow the still and see pieces of the still. And then I forget the guy's name, who's the sciencey guy. He's there checking a valve on the still. I guess to
Doc
follow
Lux.
that up, there you go. I should have these memorized here. So then to follow it up, right above them, there's a speakeasy, and we have the hustler girl there who's leaning over at the bar, and she's technically talking to the guy that's the traitor of the bad guys. And so he's, so they're kind of sliding up to each other. All across in the top back, I thought it'd be fun. On the right side, we have kind of, I guess, the drunkards. I don't know what you would call them, but the partakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the left, you have the prohibitioners, right? That have the pitchforks and they're basically kind of arguing. I thought this is a great gallery to potentially put in cameos, or the people that are rioting. So we've got that. Keep going to the left. In that left corner, we have the mob boss. He's just playing some cards. I believe he's playing cards. I don't know if you can zoom in there, or else I could look on my end, because I had him doing a couple of things, but I think I settled on him playing cards.
Looks like cards.
Yeah. There you go. So he's playing cards, smoking a cigar, and then right below that we've got the truck, and the truck's got some barrels and sacks in it. We have Cooter, who's kind of standing up on the truck, rearing back the baseball bats, and we have the driver there aiming a shotgun at him. So that's the action happening there, and then we have the feds finally in the bottom left that are one guy sniffing a jug, and the other one's prying open a barrel with a crowbar. So
Dude.
that is, again, me trying to cram all the characters and kind of a little bit about what what the roles are there on the back glass.
That is just so freaking cool. I love that there's so much to search for, like, across this. It's almost like a Where's Waldo. Like, you find something different every time you look at a different area. I love this
Yeah, we could
approach.
put him in there too.
Lots of room for Easter eggs.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And when you look at these, obviously this is rough sketch. So you want to marry this in your mind to kind of that stuff we saw on the Miro board. So like it'll have more of that detail or style to it than even what you see here. Usually the roughs look a little bit more cartoony. Not that it won't be cartoony, but just something to keep in mind.
Gotcha.
So I've got that one, and then I've got the other one. The other one, I decided, instead of trying to tell all the story, I decided to pick a scene. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a bar fight at a speakeasy, basically sort of seeing kind of how these characters fit into that. So there again, front center, you've got McCreary, who's got is it McCreary? Am I saying the right guy's name?
Reed Walker.
Reed Walker. Okay, I don't know this. Okay, Reed Walker. So he's about to punch the traitor guy, which again, insert name here, in the face, and he's holding a cup of corn there. On the left of him, you've got the mob boss, also at a card table, but here he's he's tweaking a little whiskey bottle there. Then below him, we have more of Keystone Cop type of a take on one of the feds, and then we have the more agent fed down at the bottom who's taking cover, behind a bar. Onto the right, we've got Pappy, who's really happily not quite passed out, but happily drunk, talking to the hustler lady who's serving him up there, and she's holding, which I thought could be a pinball. It could be originally I was thinking it was a coin that he's paying for his moonshine with, but then I thought it'd be cool if it was a pinball. So he's holding a pinball, and then standing on top of the liquor cabinet there is the driver, who's got his shotgun aimed at Cooter, who again is wielding the baseball bats again. And again, we have bar fight, another kind of gallery sort of opportunity for cameos. So, and this, there's not, I don't know that any of them are prohibitioners in this one. They're just all just fighting.
Dang.
Number 2 is really cool, but number 1 for me just takes the cake.
All right. So so
I feel the same
number
way.
one.
It's like at first with number 1, I was like, "Whoa, this is overwhelming. There's so much going on."
It's a lot.
And I liked the cleanness when I switched over, like just taking a first couple glance at both.
Right.
But I really like number 1, like how much like fun there is, how many different things are going on, how we could incorporate that as lots of different modes and help build out the story of,
Right.
of different little mini actions going on.
Awesome. Yeah. I did number 1 first, and I worried that it was too busy, which was really the goal with the scene. Is like maybe I'm just trying to say too much. But yeah, I totally get. I get that it communicates probably the idea of the game a lot better.
Yeah.
I think it gives a lot of opportunity.
In terms of busyness and complexity, I think that's just on you to make a decision on how much detail you want to cram in.
Mhm.
Right, certainly, and color and as well as detail will all kind of play a role in trying to keep things at bay and really draw the eye.
True, like, different zones could have a different, like, slightly different color palette to kind of encapsulate its story separate from the rest, but I really love, like, how it's kind of there's a word for it, a collage of scenes from the Bootleggers universe, but it gives us a lot of freedom to create some fun storylines with it to support it.
And one of the cool things you can do in pinball with a busy back glass, and I don't know if you guys are intending to do this, but is to highlight with light behind the back glass scenes in different moments. So that way,
headlights.
So like if it's, in the truck area or whatever, we just highlight the truck, or maybe highlight the headlights on the truck, and everything else is dark on the back glass. I think you could do some cool stuff there.
Yeah, I mean,
when I was looking at this, okay.
We could 3D print some baffles that match like the zones of the back glass
Right.
too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, what I liked about the first one was, like, I think it told a lot about the main character. With, like, I mean, he's clearly like, I could give a shit about anything else around me. I got a beeline. I'm moving through this, but all of these things are around him at all times through what he's trying to do, and he's seemingly focused on his quest to fulfill his mission, for Pappy, all that kind of stuff, And I think that's you can almost see it in his eyes, just kind of like, like I know where I'm going. And so with all the things around it, like just seemingly like when you hear the story of what this game's all about, it feels really straightforward and like, like it's a nice simple story. But when you start layering all these other characters and all the different interactions they have, it gets to be like a pretty tangled web pretty quick. And so I think that this one here makes me ask, like, well, wait, what do these characters do, and how does this play into the game? It inquires you to like seek out to understand the story more. So I think this one's really cool.
I
Sweet.
kind of like the good guys on the right and the bad guys on the left. That separation is nice.
Agreed. Yep. The one thing I will say is on number 2 for the local cop, I like your approach here, but not as like, he kind of looks almost like New York cartoony in a way. Almost like a hybrid between the two approaches, something like Smokey and the Bandit, like the kind of the dumb local cops in that, right? Like I feel like that'd be a good fit.
Are you talking about the guy coming out of the barrels, the Keystone Cop sort of guy with the billy club? Is that what you're talking about?
So we got Agent Clarence Holloway, who's with the the feds, and then you have Deputy Earl Boone, who's the local sheriff.
The deputy, you're right.
Yep.
Right.
I imagine the deputy.
When I have them in here, they both look like feds. You're right.
Yeah, they both look a little fetish, but like if one of them looks a little bit more like country, Smokey and the Bandit cop, I think would be a good fit here too.
Roscoe Peaceltrain or Coltrane.
Sure.
Oh, for Dukes of Hazzard, that cop.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know Dukes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
So do we want to vote on one, or?
We did.
Do we need to vote on one?
Yeah, sounds like everyone likes number 1.
I'm in support of number 1. I think it's so cool. And I love the integration of like the crowd in the background too, and that was one of the things we kind of discussed too. Like we have people who support us in our Patreon, and one of the benefits of being a Patreon member for an extended amount of time is you have the chance to be immortalized in the artwork in this game. So that's kind of the place where your caricature or likeness could be sketched into this game. So those who are currently Patreon supporters, that could be coming your way. Anyone who wants to join up, we need to put a firm date out there, like a cutoff date on when you need to join by and how long you need to be a subscriber before that happens. But we'll have communications in the future for that coming from Kyle Mudflaps on our team. Cool. Anything else, Eric, you wanted to talk about?
Well, so I would just say process-wise, the idea is we'll go from here, and I would probably start with Reed Walker there, and then flesh him out, right? And then flesh out scene by scene and layers until we end up with the final picture. So that takes the majority of the time, right? Even though these took a while, this is kind of the quick, fun exercise before it gets into the slog of doing the work.
I love the stills. I love the truck. I like the bags of grain. I think maybe labeling the bags somehow would be a good idea. Just like, hey, there's wheat in this one or corn in this one. But the layout is amazing. And it's got a lot of like the really good details that I love.
Sweet. Awesome.
Totally agree. Yeah, I love the direction here. And like this is totally the reason why we loved your submission, and we love your ambition for this and your vision, and definitely looking forward to see what other awesome things you bring to the table here in the coming months, over the course of the year.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to digging in some more.
Heck yeah. Let me switch us back over to gallery mode. Do not leave meeting. There we go. All right. So, Eric, really appreciate you hopping on and taking time out of your day to join us. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Love hearing all of your ideas here. Before we kind of end the stream here, just kind of want to go round table. If anyone has anything they want to add or any questions, let's hit those now. Radio silence.
Go, Eric.
Cricket.
Go ahead.
Where's Kyle?
He's doing
right
adult
here.
stuff.
He's out. Anything in chat?
Anything in
Yeah.
chat? Yeah, good point, Alex. See, this is why.
I don't know. I can't see any.
No, there wasn't anything in chat that I saw. But to our viewers and everyone who has hung with us tonight and had the pleasure of getting to know Eric and see his creative expression on paper, digital paper, really appreciate you hanging out with us today, and really appreciate your support, the likes, the follows, the subscriptions, the Patreon, the PayPal. None of it is required, but it is appreciated, and it goes a long way in helping fund this project. We are doing this out of our own pockets right now. We would love to eventually get to a place where this is kind of a self-funding project, where the support from the community is enough to help like build these games, the whole development process, and then also publish everything. But like I said, not a requirement. Really appreciate everyone who has stepped up to date and joined our community. If you want to be part of the conversation, there's been links in chat here to our Discord. Please feel free to join the Discord. It's free. You can engage in chat with all of us from the team. You can engage in chat with other people who believe in our project. So that's a great place. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Patreon. I don't think we have an Instagram. I don't think we have a TikTok. And PayPal. All of the links to which are in our channel description for YouTube. So if you go to YouTube on the main page for the channel and read the info, there's links in there. Or you can reach out to us in the Discord, or you can go to pinforgepinball.com to contact us there, and also read up on the Bootleggers story and the characters and meet the team. So really appreciate everybody's support, taking time out of your Monday evening with your families, or putting the college football national championship on pause, making the big sacrifices for pinball. So really appreciate those who have hung out, and for those that are going to watch this later, thanks for watching us later. We appreciate it. You know, join our Discord. Anywho, that's it, I think, from us here at PinForge. Because when we build together, we forge what's next. I think I got it down. Have a great evening, everybody, and Teams call, guys. Hang out for a second while I switch audio over.